After shaking off Nardole, the doctor asks where Bill Potts wishes to travel in time. She asks to see the future. Complying, he takes her to see one of Earth's first space colonies. It had been stated the inhabitants have cracked the secret of perpetual happiness. However, they soon discover that the cause of this, quote, happiness, end quote, has a very deadly punishment for not following along. Welcome, friends and companions. How are you today? Yes, today, again, a live stream about Doctor Who. Uh, at this time, a 12th Doctor story called Smile. So, sci-fi fantasy fans, actually all sorts of fans, meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who, the best sci-fi and fantasy series ever. Yeah, yeah, for more than 60 years this series on television and also on audio and also in comics and also in prose and all sort of things, and also spin-offs like Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, K9 TV series, and Class, and also Traveling of the TARDIS. So a lot of universe, dynamic universe. Yes, and we all have our own favorite doctor. We all have our favorite companions, villains, our favorite stories and episodes and eras. We all have our favorites, and we all can choose our own canon. This is the strength of this series, of this wonderful series. So, and that's why we do Doctor Who on this channel. So, why are we called Random Entertainment Channel? Random because we discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. Random because we'll broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random also because we have no guests or different guests. It depends who wants to join in this live stream panel. So if you want to join me in the live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube and we will look what is possible. The Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Attack Doctor Who. You find me very quick because I bump the server regularly. So cheers, mate, and have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. That's me, that's me, that's me. So, as I was already saying, we do today a 12th Doctor story called Smile. 12th Doctor, Peter Capaldi. So first, some general info. And then after that, we will dive into the plot. A long plot. Okay. For the record, for the statistics, Smile was the second episode of Series 10 of Doctor Who. The episode marks the fourth time in the BBC Wales series that the Doctor took his companion into the future for their first post-introductory adventure with him after Rose Tyler, Amy Pond, and Clara Oswald. This was technically the first of these to take place on an alien planet, though the Rings of Akatan was set on a planetoid orbiting a fully fledged planet. In Doctor Who Extra, Stephen Moffat and Peter Capaldi explain that they don't really understand emoji. Thus, they had some trouble understanding text from Jenna Coleman, who used emoji frequently in her text to them. Okay, and now we will dive into the plot, a long plot. Are you ready? So, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched this or listened to this story yet, I highly recommend you to watch this or listen this first before you will continue to listen to this video. Okay. Fasten your seatbelts. There we go. Bill has just entered the TARDIS, asking the Doctor what she should do as a passenger. The doctor tells her that she should know as she's already been on a trip. Bill counters this by stating it's a proper trip this time, asking if there are seat belts. She sits in a seat, noting that the layout of the TARDIS is completely wrong. The seats are too far away from the controls. She wonders if the doctor can stretch his arms like Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four. The doctor explains he stands when piloting the TARDIS. Bill mocks him for never thinking to bring the chairs next to the controls. Very, very clever. Bill then asks where the steering wheel is. But the doctor tells her that they have to negotiate with the TARDIS, as it will not always take them where they wish. Often it's the quote, still point, end quote, between where one wishes to go and where they are needed. Hearing a knock, Bill wonders who could be knocking on the TARDIS doors. The doctor mumbles, Mum, and opens the door. Nurdle enters, reminding the doctor that he made an oath and cannot leave the earth unless an emergency happens. The doctor tells Nardole that he's over 2,000 years old and sometimes likes to take his TARDIS downstairs instead of walking. Nardole asks why Bill is inside. The doctor states it's because she isn't anywhere else. The doctor kindly asks Nardole to make tea. Nardole agrees and leaves them. He states if Bill wants tea, she has to make her own. Thinking that the doctor has changed his mind again, Bill asks if they are heading back to his office, to which the doctor states will happen after they have had some adventures. Quote, between here and my office is everything that ever happened or ever will. End quote. The doctor tells Bill to make her choice, past or future. Bill states the future because she wants to see if it's happy. The doctor complies, throwing the brake lever, and the TARDIS takes off. In a future human colony planet, a colonist, Kezia, is warned not to come back to the city, as they are having a problem with their microbots, the Vardy. However, she ignores the warning, as she talks to a robot with an emoji-like scream. The woman on the radio, good thing, is smiling painfully as Kezia asks why she is doing it. Smiling still, she explains their mother and a few other people are dead. Kezia is horrified to see her smiling at that, prompting another robot to display a crying emoji. The robot's screen turns to an emoji with skulls for eyes and bare teeth. It grabs Kezia as a section of the roof transforms into a swarm of microbots. It envelops Kezia and reduces her to bones as they scream. The robot turns to Good Thing, still displaying the emoji as she pleads with it that she is smiling. The microbots chase after her as she screams, while the scream turns back to a happy emoji. The TARDIS materializes there later, with Bill asking which direction Earth is in. The doctor tells her any direction, as space is curved. He asks if she's wanted to go back. Bill states she isn't thinking of anything. Her mind is overloading from time traveling to an alien planet in the future. As they walk towards the city, Bill notes the TARDIS hasn't cloaked itself as something else. The doctor reminds her that it's stuck. Bill notes that the doctor must like it enough to have never bothered to fix the broken cloaking device. Annoyed, he tells her to let the subject go. They walk into the city, where the doctor explains that this place was able to crack the mystery of perpetual happiness. Bill then questions the doctor about what Nordell said. The doctor explains as a result of something that happened a long time ago, he swore on oath to watch the vault beneath the university. Bill points out that he isn't right now. However, the doctor counters that he is guarding it, at, as his time machine can take him back to right when he left. Bill questions the doctor as to whether or not he's considered the possibility of him getting stuck or lost away from the university. The doctor tells Bill that he's thought of it, and has decided to not dwell on things that haven't happened yet. Bill catches sight of the Vardy, asking if they're alien birds. The doctor tells her they are microbots and that they are likely conducting a security check on the two of them. Bill's disappointed with the robots. The doctor tells her not to say such things, as it's rude. Bill sarcastically asks if she hurts their feelings. Feeling pain in her ears, Bill wonders what happened. The doctor shouts they have been fitted for some kind of communication device. Bizarrely, the voice comes out her ear. Bill notes how wonderful this is. She never needs her mobile phone again. However, she then becomes concerned about being able to turn off the device when using the low. And the doctor dismisses her worry, stating if they can be given a communication device without any fuss. Quote, there's probably an app for that. End quote. They come across a robot, which Bill is impressed by. However, the doctor tells her it's not a robot, but instead an interface device to interpret it for the Vardy. Bill wonders if it speaks. The doctor says it depends on what factor of human language has survived into this era. The robot's face, smiles with two smiling faces for eyes. Bill laughs that it only speaks emoji. The doctor is less than impressed. The emoji bot gives them badges that reflect their moods in the form of emojis, which only other people can see. Placing the badges on, both the doctor and Bill are surprised that they instantly go to their backs. The doctor presumes that this is so that being one emotion on the badge doesn't change it, which would have caused a quote feedback loop end quote. Bill questions this as what if the wearer fancies someone? The doctor laughs. Quote, well, I guess you'd have to maintain eye contact with them then. End quote. Bill, the idea is brilliant. They head further inside. Well, Bill's badge shows her happy. The doctor shows him as puzzled. Since the interface speaks in emoji, the doctor postulates that the entire city was developed by teenagers. The emoji bot serves cubes of gelatinous blue food, which Bill notes smells like fish. The doctor says he is not fond of fish, except for conventionalizing. Thus, eating less evolved fish would lead to an awkward conversation. Bill wonders if the food is safe for them to eat, as he doesn't know if humans are meant to be living here. The doctor points out that the cutlery is human and only humans speak in emoji. Bill begins eating her cube of food. Seemingly responding to the doctor's puzzlement, a swarm of Fardi wait outside the building. The doctor notices there's no livestock, to which Bill is pleased to know that humanity no longer needs to eat animals. Instead, this algae-like substance. The doctor notes he met an emperor made of algae once. Big Wing, Bill's curiosity. The doctor adds the emperor fancied him. The doctor reiterates that this place is ready for humans to live in, as the entire place is ready for someone to move right in, but there's no one around. Bill compares at the student union, where a place to live is prepared before anyone moves in. Seeing Bill is onto something, the doctor comes to the conclusion they've just arrived too early. The colonists sent the Vardy ahead of them to prepare the planet for them. The doctor goes on to note that if the atmosphere wasn't human friendly, the Vardy would fix it for them. Even better, the robots could build a home for the colonists to live in before they got there. However, Bill notes that the doctor has two helpings, wondering if there's food sexism in the future. Quote, is this bloke utopia? End quote. End quote. The doctor explains that it's likely because the Vardy have mistaken him for two different people. As the Vardy work for humans, they do not understand the concept of a person having two hearts and thus think the doctor is two people. Bill is surprised, wondering why the doctor has two hearts. He retorts, quote, why one? End quote. Finishing her meal, and amused Bill wonders if the doctor has really high blood pressure as a result of having two hearts. He confirms this. The emoji bot escorts the doctor and Bill to a greenhouse outside, when more emoji bots pollinate plants and an automated system sprays calcium based fertilizer onto the plants. The doctor finds a discarded necklace, keeping it hidden from Bill. Bill wonders what they should do: leave before the colonists show up, or put the kettle on. The doctor walks past her into the next room, where Bill notices a rosemary plant. Bill smells it, remembering there's one outside the student union. She thanks the doctor for bringing her. She's smelling the scents of hope several years into the future. The doctor asks if Bill believed his theory about there having been any humans here yet. Bill confirms she did. He then asks if he convinced himself. Bill looks at his badge and tells the doctor that he didn't. The doctor then goes on to explain that he is worried because there should be a setup team of humans commanding the party. However, no one is here. Noticing the doctor's badge has a thinking face, Bill asks what's on his mind, and he replies, suspicious that he is thinking about a magic headache. As they have no answers, the doctor decides they should put two questions together. Where is the setup team and what is the source of this mineral fertilizer? Pulling out his sonic screwdriver, the doctor opens the machine pumping the fertilizer. It has grinning gears, pulverizing calcium. It then opens the bottom, revealing several skulls. The doctor tells Bill that despite how this appears, the humans haven't been that long. He has come to the conclusion that the party killed the setup team and feed them into the fertilizer. Bill wonders why, to which the doctor says they better not stick around to ask them. They turn to find an emoji bot with a crying face. Doctor tells it that they were admiring the garden and are leaving now. They run out of the room as the teary-eyed emoji bots change to show the same emoji that it showed when the women were killed. As they run, Bill notes that if the emoji bot is chasing them, it's been awfully slow. Doctor explains to Bill that there is a reason for something chasing you to be slow. When its targets are running, the chaser doesn't need to be fast. In the center of a corridor, the doctor and Bill find themselves surrounded by emoji bots that can sense their fear. The city is full of them, so the robots will catch you eventually, thus making a chase pointless as they can maneuver targets into a trap. The doctor wonders why they are being attacked now, when they have been there a long time. Realizing something, the doctor tells Bill to smile using her whole face. She wonders why as the doctor checks her badge. Seeing Bill's badge change to a smile, the doctor tells her that smiling has a psychological effect on one's mood. He further explains that the robot's programming has caused them to make these mistakes. The Vardy were programmed to make people happy by ensuring their environment was comfortable. But But the programming has evolved and gotten jumbled up somehow. The Vardy now seem to think that they need to kill people when they become unhappy. The doctor tells Bill they should give the emoji bots what they want and smile. Doctor starts walking down the exit hall, telling Bill to not even bother following him unless she is smiling. They slowly walk down the hall. The doctor tells the robots that they've enjoyed their stay. Bill tells him that next time they should go to Aberdeen or Wiltshire. Agreeing with her, the doctor and Bill move past the emoji bots, now bearing annoyed faces, but still poised to attack. They run outside, where an emoji bot grabs Bill's arm. Bill screams in terror as the doctor tells her to smile. However, Bill is too scared to fake happiness. Instead, the doctor sonics the robot's arm, breaking it and freeing Bill. This signals a swarm of Vardis to seemingly emerge from the building structure itself. They continue running, with the doctor sure the Vardy will not be concerned with them once they are out of the city. Once back to TARDIS, the doctor tells Bill to stay inside while he returns to the city and follows a quote Jadus impulse to blow it up end quote. Bill is flabbergasted as he thought they were leaving. Surprised, Bill cannot see the bigger picture. The doctor explains, quote, that city is a living death trap. He can't leave it with its mouth open, end quote. As there is likely a colony ship coming, they have to ensure that the Vardy do not claim any more lives due to the error in their programming. The doctor tells Bill to watch some movies in the TARDIS. Bill wonders why he can't call a helpline to deal with the problem instead. Doctor runs off, telling her not to look at his browser history. Seeing the doctor run, Bill heads back inside the TARDIS, reading the sign on the door. Quote, advice and assistance obtainable immediately. End quote. In the city, the doctor convinces an emoji-bot that he is happy, but his happy-faced bot changes to show a light bulb shortly afterwards. He hears someone breathing on his communication device. Thinking it's a survivor, he asks the person to join him. To his annoyance, it's Bill, who asks if he's Scottish because of his accent. Doctor says he isn't just cross. Bill wonders if there's a quote space Scotland end quote too. And that Doctor notes Scotland demands independence from every planet they land on. Bill tells the doctor her deduction. He doesn't call a helpline because he is it. He gives an advice and assistance. The doctor tells her that it is just a coincidence. He just happened by his house of horrors and decided to muck in. He tells Bill to look at the wall, going on to explain that the Vardy are what makes up the city. Bill genuinely smiles at the absurdity. However, the doctor believes that the entire of the city, that the center of the city, houses the spaceship in which the colonists first arrived, comparing it to the Vikings who lived in their ships until they built new homes. They follow a staircase downwards, finding a damaged ship. They follow a staircase downwards and finding a damaged ship's hull. The doctor is glad to have found a real wall, finding the entrance to ship. Bill tries to pull the door open to no avail. Humorously, the doctor presses a button that opens the door inward. Quote, not even locked. They were expecting to live in space and in peace, end quote. And the doctor sadly notes. He then suggests locking it behind them, which alerts all emoji bots in the city whose smiley emojis now incorporate exclamation marks for eyes. Inside the spaceship, the doctor comments on the difference between design of the ship interior and the city outside. It's designed by wet brains, the humans, and dry brains, the Vardis. They come across a map labeling where they are, and the doctor plans to walk to the engine room in the middle of the ship. He instructs Bill to stay back to guide him through the map, which displays the doctor's current position. On his way, the doctor finds all sorts of furniture and artifacts, including the bust of Nefertiti. Bill asks how the doctor is allowed to blow up the spaceship without consequences, but he responds that it is a moral imperative to destroy the murder machine that surrounds them. Bill notices an unexpected empty space surrounding the engine room, but the tannoy of the ship distracts her. Outside, the emoji bot's faces change to skulls as the ship, Array 1, begins to wake up, and as the doctor descends into the engine room. Bill realizes she could have followed the doctor the entire time if she had photographed the map. The doctor reveals that he had already memorized the map, as Bill protests against his leaving her out of trouble. Bill follows the doctor's path, but she stumbles upon a room containing a recently deceased old woman, with a book placed at her feet. Bill finds that the book contains digital images of human history on Earth, continuing past her time and through an apocalyptic war. Bill asks the doctor if these colonists were the last of humanity. The doctor explains that humans evacuated Earth following this conflict, and that this colony must be one of those evacuative ships. He meanwhile fiddles with the engine room controls, trying to reroute the engine's flow into the calorimeter. However, as he tries to do so, the calorimeter begins to rise to its peak, which spells doom for the doctor. Bill proceeds to the engine room, but to her shock finds a boy who asks, "Are we there yet?" Meanwhile, Anna Midgetbot closes in on the doctor, who is still waiting for Bill to help him hold the calorimeter tightly while jams it shut with a spanner. The doctor sees its reflection in the dial and smashes the emoji bot off the catwalk with the spanner, nearly dragged down himself, only to run into Bill and the confused boy, who asks where everyone else is. The doctor is puzzled by this until he and Bill find that the empty space around the engine room is where the remaining human population is cryogenically stored. And the shocked, the doctor tells Bill the colonists were already there, waiting to shepherd it into the new Utopia. The doctor feels disgusted with himself for nearly killing them all. One of the stored humans, steadfast, wakes up. Doctor assertively instructs him to stay inside the ship as the other humans begin to unfreeze behind him. As they walk away, the doctor explains to Bill that he doesn't have a plan yet, but he acted like he had one to make sure idiots didn't cause more trouble by trying to think up their own plans. Bill takes the doctor to the old woman's corpse, and they try to figure out her role in what happened here. Using the tablet like logbook, Bill and the doctor see the woman was the first person to die. Then a few followed after her, and then everyone else. Unlike the rest of the setup team, this woman is a corpse instead of a pile of bones. The doctor states she died of natural causes, but all the other deaths weren't natural. Bill guesses it could have been a virus that went viral. The doctor then has an epiphany, and it is grief. The doctor tells a confused Bill grief is caused for all these deaths. This woman was the first person to die here, and before that, everything was happy. The Vardy were never programmed to understand humans' need to grieve, so they thought grief was a threat to happiness. Thus, any human who felt grief was killed, and so on until all of the setup team was killed by the Vardy. The doctor again mentions the magic haddock and produces the discarded necklace, which contains a hologram of the boy waving happily. Bill says that they will find the owner of the necklace when she wakes up, but the doctor tells her that he found it in the greenhouse, belonging to one of the dead's advanced colonists. Meanwhile, the boy has left the ship and exited into the city. And Mochibot offers a mood badge to the boy, who promptly places it on. He looks for his mother, asking the Emojibot if it knows before walking off. His mood changes to a puzzled emoji. At the same time, the Emojibot gives an annoyed face. Inside the ship, the doctor and Bill explain the Vardy are malfunctioning to the colonists. The doctor then asks Adds, the colonists used the Vardy to make their lives easier, but like every slave race, they started having ideas of their own. Now they think they have to kill people when they are too unhappy to live. The colonists arm themselves with laser guns to fight the Vardis. Bill tells Steadfast he needs to listen to the rest of the explanation. He bluntly says he did listen, now knowing that the Vardi are killing people. The doctor quickly turns to Steadfast, explaining, quote, the Vardi want to help you. Killing you is just a side effect, end quote. The colonists take off to destroy the Vardi. The doctor and Bill run after the colonists to prevent another mass slaughter. In the city, everyone finds the boy flanked by two emoji bots. The boy asks where his mother is, beginning to cry. Bill tries silencing him into smiling, telling him to admire his new home. However, the boy doesn't listen and cries. The emoji bots grab the boy, ready to kill him. However, Steadfast fires upon the emoji bots. One is damaged, and the second screen begins flashing between two new images, skull and gun. The doctor realizes that the symbols mean, quote, rage and revenge, end quote. The rest of the colonists begin to fire, as some Vardis break off from the ceilings to attack and kill a man. Instead of caring about the attack, the doctor begins thinking about how the Vardi are reacting. They are registering as under attack, meaning they're alive. He runs to a broken emoji bot using the sonic screwdriver on its wiring. The doctor tells Bill there's a reason he never loses at chess. He has a secret move. And whenever he is about to lose, he kicks over the board and ends the game. Hoping what he's about to do doesn't hurt. The doctor finishes messing with the emoji bot, creating a blinding, disorienting flash throughout the city. The doctor tells the story of the fisherman and the magic haddock. As a fisherman caught the fish and it offered three wishes in exchange for its life. Fisherman wished for his son to return for more and 100 gold pieces, but the haddock thinks in a different way, instead sending the son's corpse home from the war, along with 100 gold pieces commending his service. Fisherman then wished that he hadn't wished the first two wishes, pressing the, quote, reset button, end quote. The colonists are now confused as to why the Vardy aren't killing them. The doctor repeats that he hit the reset button, basically turning the Vardy on and off again. As a result, they no longer remember murdering the humans or the fact they are robots belonging to the colonists. Quote, welcome to your new planet. Meet the Vardy. They are, as of now, the indigenous life form. End quote. The doctor tells Steadfast that the colonists should try making peace unless they'd rather live like homeless people, as the waking colonists have no clue how to work the technology. Walking over to an interface, the doctor introduces himself and apologizes for not recognizing the Vardy as an emergent new species. As penance, he's willing to negotiate with them to allow humanity to stay in the city. He asks if the Vardy wish to charge rent. Returning to Earth in the TARDIS, Bill asks the Doctor if the human-Vardy relationship will work. The Doctor replies that it is up to them. Bill asks him if he normally deals with such affairs, acting as an, quote, intergalactic policeman, end quote. The Doctor replies that the police box exterior of the TARDIS is a mere coincidence. They land exactly at the point they left, but when Bill steps out of the TARDIS, it is snowing. To their shock, an African elephant is approaching the TARDIS. The doctor explains that they are in London, not Bristol, and that they are standing on the frozen Thames. Seeing this, The doctor realizes Bill might have been right about a steering wheel. And that, my friends and companions, is the end of the story called Smile, a 12 Doctor story. I will name some cast members. The 12th Doctor is played by Peter Capaldi. Bill is played by Pearl Mackie. Nardole is played by Matt Lucas. Kezia is played by Kieran L. Dotlani. Good Thing is played by Mina Anwar. Steadfast is played by Ralph Little. Praiseworthy is played by Kaiser Akhtar. Nate is played by Kalugi Sisbandeke. And Emotibot 1 is played by Kieran Shah. And Emotibot 2 is played by Craig Gardner. Um, some world building. Language. About emoji bots speak emoji. Emoji used them by them includes smiling face, a happy face, a skull, a symbol of death, crying face, one tear, crying face, two tears, a light bulb symbolizing new ID forming, a puzzled face, a shocked face, an interested face, a worried face, a confused face, a thoughtful face can also have a drop of sweat, a suspicious face, an open armed smiling face, a dead face, under attack, anger, a key interacting with Lux, a question mark indicating confusion can also be a face with a question mark above, and indicating awareness, a thumbs up is indicating approval, and pound sterling indicating an interest in monetary gain. Will building in relation to culture. 1. The doctor says that the colonists will come expecting the Garden of Eden. 2. The Vardy identified grief as the enemy of happiness. 3. The doctor tells the story of, quote, the magic haddock, end quote. 4. Bill asks whether the doctor has, quote, stretchy arms, end quote, like Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four. 5. Bill says Greece was like a student union before the students arrive. 6. Because Bill is only served one jelly while the doctor is given two, she asks whether they have food sexism even in the future. Point 7. The doctor mentions how Vikings used to turn boats upside down and use them as houses. 8. The record Bill looks into shows the entirety of human history. And last is a photo in the archive of the area wall shows protesters with place cards which read socialist worker, kill the poll tax, Tories out. Another reads socialist worker, finish of the Tory poll tax. Amnesty now, stop the bailiffs. World building in relation to location. Bill suggests visiting Wiltshire or Aberdeen. Another thing in location is that the spaceship the Doctor and Bill find on the planet is called Area One. The company that owns it is called United Earth. Now, some world building in relation to species. The Vardy can eat other species, leaving behind bones and skulls. The Vardy form the walls of buildings by interlinking with each other, but are also able to detach themselves when needed. Dr. calls the Vardis the quote worker bees of the third industrial revolution, end quote. And the doctor and Bill encounter an elephant on a frozen river. Another thing in world building in relation to people is that 00125323458 was the first woman to die at the colony. Two of the earliest people to die at the colony were 001253546 and 001253546 the second. Another thing is that the doctor says he knew an emperor made of algae that offended him. And another thing is that Steadfast is MedTech 1. Another thing in world building in relation to technology is that the emoji bots are an interface of the Vardy. The other thing is that the Doctor and Bill receive sound implants on arrival at the colony. The Doctor calls the sound implants Tinga Mabots. Another thing is that all inhabitants and visitors are given mood badges. And Bill's smartphone is also a camera phone, meaning she can take a picture of the map. Another thing is that the colonists await their opening aboard the Area 1. And the Area 1 has a Fleischmann called fusion engine. And another thing is that the engine has a Kelvin calorimeter. Some world building in relation to anatomy and physiology. So the doctor mentions his binary vascular system and tells Bill it leads to high blood pressure. And the doctor says that smiling psychologically has an effect on the mood. World building in relation to botany. The colony has rosemaries in the garden, which reminds Bill of home. And world building in relation to food and beverages. The doctor mentions the colony will have wheat or olive groves. Another thing is that the Doctor and Bill are served squares of LJ jelly. According to Bill, it smells of fish. Then some more building in relation to science. The Doctor explains that because space is curved, the Earth is in any direction you choose to look in. Now, and last but not least, the rule building in relation to the TARDIS is that Bill asks why the chairs in the TARDIS are so far from the console. Bill asks whether she has to wear a seatbelt during flight. And Bill also asks if there is a steering wheel. Bill questions the doctor on the police box exterior. And last one thing is that the doctor says the TARDIS has broadband and suggests she watch some movies or something to pass the time. Some story notes. Three things is that the episode had the working title of the news from nowhere. The second thing is that the note is that the doctor says that Scotland demands independence every planet they go to. In real world current events, at the time of this episode's release, Scotland was again seeking independence from the United Kingdom as a result of Brexit. And another thing is that last note, story note, is that Erewhon is quote nowhere end quote spelled backwards. So this Erewhon is actually nowhere. And last, the continuity, because stories and episodes are to some extent linked to each other, reference to each other, have a relation with each other, or form influence to each other. Um, so interpretation, of course, and there is some continuity. I will name some, and that is the Doctor mentions Bill's first trip in the TARDIS, taking her across space and time. There's a relation to link to the TV story, The Pilots. That's the first story in Series 10. Second thing is that a doctor says that he stole the TARDIS. That's a link, a relation to a TV story Locopolis with fourth Doctor Tom Baker. And there's also a link to the name of the Doctor. Third thing is that Northern reminds the Doctor that he cannot go off-world because he promised not to. Also linked to TV story The Pilots. Bill again calls the Doctor, quote, a penguin with his arse on fire, end quote, when she sees him run. Also linked to the TV story The Pilots. Doctor states that the TARDIS takes him where they need to go, rather than where he wants to go. There is a link to the Doctor's wife. That's the 11th Doctor story with Matt Smith. A fifth thing is that the Doctor states he cheats at chess to avoid losing. That's linked to race to Nightmare in Silver. That's an also that is an 11th Doctor story with Matt Smith. Bill asks why the TARDIS is a police box. There's a link related to Boomtown. That's a 9th Doctor story with Christopher Eccleston. And she mentions that she knows it's a quote, cloaking device, end quote. There's a link to the Doctor Who movie from 1996 with the Eighth Doctor, um, Paul McGann, and also a link to already mentioned the pilots. Um, Eighth thing is that Bill deduces that the Doctor likes the police box sign because of its message. The Seventh Doctor admitted as much. Quote, I like the shape and the motto. Call here for help. That's what I do. I let little children sleep safely at night because I've searched through all the shadows and chased the baddies away. End quote. There's a link to Prose Love and War. One of the things that the Doctor again avoids long explanations by saying, quote, a thing happened. There's a link to the Husbands of River Song. The Christmas special with yeah, 12 Dr. Peter Capaldi. Another thing is that there's a bust of Queen Nefertiti in the spaceship. It's a link to TV story Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Another thing is that Doctor tells Bill to not look at his browser history. You also see that a link to the site inversion. Another thing is that Bill mentions that the Doctor couldn't leave her serving chips. Also linked to the TV story The Pilots. And Bill says the Doctor is an awesome tutor, also linked to the pilots. The Doctor mentions having previously encountered human colony ships. That's, for example, a TV story The Ark with the Fourth Doctor. The Beast Below with the Tenth Doctor. And the stations of colonists in cryogenic suspension, the Ark in Space. That's with uh, that's what actually with the Fourth Doctor. Another thing is that the Doctor had once before visited a human colony in which unhappy people were killed. That is in the TV story The Happiness Patrol with the Seventh Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. And the last thing in continuity is that the Doctor mentions Scotland wanting independence everywhere they go, such as when they wanted a separate ship or Starship UK. That is on the Beast Below. That's on the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. And that, my friends, is this live stream, is this video. I hope you enjoy. Put your comments under this video if you want. Uh, yeah, and hope to see you again next time. Here to hear to from you. And for now, I will say to you all, have a nice day, everyone. Bye bye. See you later. Hear from you later. Bye bye. Bye bye.